Alright y'all, welcome back to my channel. The official Raw on Netflix debut has officially come on. So, now we gotta talk about it. And let me tell you, it was a long one. But it was full of action, so I feel like the length wasn't as bad as I was expecting. When they originally said it was going to be 3.5 hours and there was only 4 matches, I was like, that's a little much. But I feel like most of the promos filled the time slot, and overall I think it was a very good debut, and I'm excited for this new era for Raw on Netflix. So let's dive in a little bit. First off, The Rock started the show, which I did not expect at all. I thought he would pop in a little later, but he started the show and gave some props to Roman and Cody because they've kind of carried the WWE over the last few years, and honestly put on this like little nice guy face. But I'm not buying it. I don't think the final boss character is done. I think he played it nice last night, but I think that's just setting us up for The Rock to turn even harder and really dive into that final boss character. So don't be surprised if a little bit down the road we see Mr. Rock back as the final boss. But my biggest question is, after the match with Roman and Solo last night, and Roman retaining his Ulafala and being the OTC that we all knew he was, he is no longer the original tribal chief. He is the only tribal chief. So that's what OTC stands for now. What do we think is next for Roman? Do we think he will face The Rock? Do we think he'll go on to a different opponent? What do we see in his future? I personally definitely see a feud with The Rock coming, especially after last night where The Rock was kind of giving him his flowers and kind of telling him like he's proud of him or whatever. I feel like there's going to be a strong turn there soon. And honestly, I was a little suspicious of Paul Heyman last night because he had a little bit of a grin looking at The Rock on his face, and I didn't like that too well. If Paul Heyman turns on Roman, I am going to be so upset, you guys, because I love Heyman and Roman together, so they have to stay together. But also, what's next for Solo? What does he do? Does he acknowledge Roman? Does the bloodline come back together? Do they work together? Does he move on to something else? Honestly, I could see the Temu bloodline breaking up. I could see Tama and Tonga, when he comes back, going on to be a tag team. I could see Jacob having a strong solo career and Solo having a strong solo career. No pun intended. I could definitely see those two really being strong competitors in the singles run and having quite a bright future as a single competitor, honestly. But my question is, do we think that Jacob stays friendly with Solo? Or do we think, since he kind of disappointed Solo, Jacob's gonna flip sides? I could definitely see Jacob working with Roman and respecting Roman and what he does in the ring. But Jacob loves Solo, in case you didn't know. So I think those two will definitely keep that relationship for a little bit while longer at least. However, how good would a Jacob Solo match be? Honestly, it would cook. Now, again, we saw so much last night. We saw John Cena make his final promo, and guess what, you guys? No shocker here. He's going to be in the Royal Rumble. And personally, I think he's going to win the Royal Rumble. I think it sets up for a perfect match at WrestleMania, and I think it is the perfect time for John to get number 17 and get that title. And personally, I would like him to go against Cody, with Gunther being my next choice. But to be honest with you, I don't want Gunther to hold the title that long. His promo came on last night, and I was literally yawning. I've tried and tried and tried to like Gunther, but I just can't do it for some reason. It's just not in me, no matter how hard I try. So, I don't know. I think ultimately John will probably face Gunther, but I'd rather see him face Cody, and I'd rather Gunther lose the title earlier than to see him hold it until WrestleMania. Now, the one thing I have to say is John Cena's promo got me hyped. Like, I was so excited after he came out and spoke his truth and spoke everything. Hulk Hogan's promo, on the other hand, was a very big miss by the WWE. I mean, it was controversial to begin with because so many people do not like Hulk Hogan, but for him to come out for a minute or 2 minutes or whatever it was and plug a beer, what was that? We didn't need that. Like, that could have been cut out. That was fine. Whatever. It could have been cut out. Like, we didn't need that. We already saw the beer in the middle of the ring. So why do we need Hulk Hogan coming out telling us to buy it? Because you know what's going to happen? People aren't going to buy it because they didn't like Hulk Hogan. Because if you didn't notice, the whole crowd booed him. And poor Jimmy Hart in the back was waving the flag trying to get somebody to cheer, and it didn't work. So pretty much I thought that whole promo could have just been eliminated. Like, it was not necessary at all. And I don't feel like anybody really enjoyed it. Like, even the Hulk Hogan fans, like, why? I don't want to see him out here plugging a beer. Like, who cares? This is Raw on Netflix. I don't care about a beer. I just want to see some action. So I definitely think that was a huge miss by WWE, and it honestly surprised me that they even went forward with it in the first place. Another thing I have to talk about, of course, is the Liv Rhea match. Rhea Ripley got the Women's Championship back that she has been battling for over a year now, and I was not surprised at all. I knew from day one that Rhea was going to win this. As soon as they said, like, this is the end of the feud, I knew it was going to come full circle and Rhea was going to win this. And I honestly feel a little bad for Liv because I feel like her entire title reign has been about Rhea and it's not been about Liv. And if you take how you feel aside for both of them, you have to respect what Liv brings to the ring, what she brings to the character, and the passion that she shows for the WWE. Because she is there to build it up, to really, like, master her craft. And that's how she dove into this character. And so I feel really bad that she kind of got, like, her entire, like, reign overshadowed by this Rhea storyline. Now, on the flip side of that, I am proud of Mommy. I love Rhea Ripley. I love Liv Morgan. I love them both, and that may be controversial to some people, but I love them both. I am proud that Rhea was able to come full circle from getting hurt, getting attacked, losing the Judgment Day, whatever, blah, 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 and now she's back on top. But I still feel bad that Liv didn't have as strong of a reign as I wanted her to. It was like she had this very strong character going, and then the minute she got the title, it was like she's this weak person who runs away from people all the time. And I didn't love that. So hopefully 2025 is even brighter for both of them, and I feel like that they're both going to continue to shine wherever they go. So my next question is, where was Becky Lynch? We know that she was there and she was set to return after the match between Rhea and Liv. However, the writers felt like they didn't want to take that moment from Rhea with the Taker, which I understand totally. The Rhea Taker moment was super, super cool. And it really, honestly, like, the pictures and the videos from it was awesome. And it was a great moment for Rhea. But I miss Becky Lynch, and I want Becky to come back. But my theory is she's going to come back next week on Raw, and that's going to set us up for Becky versus Rhea at Royal Rumble. I originally thought that Becky was going to win the Royal Rumble to face somebody at WrestleMania, but I think that's going to go with Charlotte now, and I don't think the WWE will have Charlotte and Becky return in the same night. So I think it makes sense for Becky to return on the next Raw to challenge Rhea to a match at the Royal Rumble because it's the next PLE that we have. And it just honestly makes the most sense for that match to happen that soon, because then we can have other storylines develop as well. And we know that Becky lost her title to Liv originally, so we know Becky's going to be on the hunt for that title. And she wants it, no matter if it's Liv, Rhea, Io, Bianca, whoever's holding it, she wants that title. So I think she'll pop up next week on Raw, and we'll see her challenge Rhea at Royal Rumble. So let's talk about the Jay and Drew match. This one surprised me. I honestly thought Drew was going to win this match to strengthen his feud with the Bloodline. However, I'm super happy for Jay. I mean, did you guys see that entrance with Travis Scott? The whole place was electric. So 2025 is going to be a huge year for Jey Uso. I just feel it. The guy is loved by the fans. People buy his merchandise. They tune into his matches. They yeet with him, as you saw last night. So 2025, I feel like, is going to be the year of Jay. And I hope he has another shot at holding a title for a longer period of time with stronger feuds, because I think he deserves that. But let's talk about a little bit of the match. The match was super good. I thought it was a definite solid match. I don't think this feud is over. I think Drew's just going to go on to the next person. I think he's going to continue to be mad until he gets to the top of that food chain, which is Roman Reigns. But what I will say is I loved how they wrote the ending, because we saw Jay collapse and kind of fake Drew out, and then he ended up beating him, which is the story of Drew's life. Drew gets in his head, he brags, he gets, oh, I'm the best, blah, 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 I'm gonna win, and then somebody smacks him in the face. CM Punk did it at the Money in the Bank, Jey Uso did it now. It always happens. He gets in his head, he gets this big ego, and then somebody smacks him in the face. So the fact that they did that in this ending and Jay snuck the win in, I loved, because I think it just solidifies that character, that Drew gets in his own head and then he gets smacked in the face. But what I will say is, I think that Drew McIntyre could possibly team up with Seth Rollins and KO, because they're all three actually super unhinged right now. And we'll talk a little bit about Seth later, but we know that KO and Drew are very unhinged. They both hate the bloodline, so it makes sense. But we'll revisit that a little later when we talk about Punk and Rollins. The next thing that I do want to point out is I feel like there could have been less commercials. It was an overall good show, but if we just took out like a fourth of the commercials, it would have been even better. Because I feel like we got 5 minutes of matches and then 15 minutes of commercials. So let's work on that. I'm glad there was no buffering issues though. Also, Lyra and Dakota could have totally been on that match card. There was plenty of time for them and they deserve that spotlight. And I'm still mad that they're going to be on a normal Raw episode for that title when they could have been on the debut and really got their spotlight and got their moment. So, I told you we would revisit, and here we are. Seth and Punk, the feud of the year, in my opinion, because it's not over. Last night's match is not the end of it. And personally, I knew that Punk was going to win this match because it adds more fuel to this feud. Seth will now crash out. He is going to turn major heel. He's going to be a legendary heel. You thought him turning on the Shield was bad? Just wait until you see the Seth we're going to get now, because he just got beat by CM Punk, a guy he absolutely hates. So I think that Seth's going to have the biggest crash out of the century, turn the biggest heel we've ever seen, and we're going to at least get 2 more of these matches, if not more than that. Like, this feud to me could last all the way till WrestleMania, because it's that deep, it's that emotional, and that's what builds a major storyline. Overall, the match was really good. I saw a lot of people complaining that Punk won, but again, like I said, I think it's a better good for the storyline. I think he took this W so that storyline could be built stronger. I could definitely see in the future Punk or KO, Rollins, and Drew McIntyre teaming up, because they're all unhinged and heels and unloose right now, and they all hate the bloodline. So I could definitely see those 3 teaming up to try to knock Roman Reigns off of his pedestal, and when that does happen, that's going to be an excellent match, and I can't wait for it. But until then, I definitely think we're going to get more of Punk and Rollins, and you just wait. Like I said, Seth is going to turn major heel, and his character is going to be epic. But overall, the episode was really, really good. I think we got some solid matches. There were only 4 of them, but they really brought a lot of quality. And I think that overall the promos were great. And it really was a great debut for Raw on Netflix. I'm excited to see what's to come, because they set the bar kind of high. So now they got to just keep topping it. And I just can't wait for the PLEs to come as well, because we know that they're moving to Netflix as well, so they're going to be bigger and better as well. So the first one we get to see is the Royal Rumble on February 1st, and I think it's going to be the biggest Royal Rumble to date. But let me know what your favorite part of the Raw on Netflix was, what you think WWE could improve on for Raw on Netflix, and how you liked the show. Also, like, subscribe, and comment, and keep me going.